Happy Devils. Merry Christmas. Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan Address, episode 36. I am your host, Sam Wu, here with Pucks and Pitchforks editor-in-chief extraordinaire, Nick Villano. The podcast tonight is titled A Christmas Podcast, because after all, it's Christmas Day. Happy holidays to all. Happy Hanukkah. I think it's the third day of Hanukkah, if I am not mistaken. Nick, how's your festivities and the holiday going with the new beautiful Villano family?
Well, my wife is at work, so and I believe it's the fourth day of Hanukkah, or the fourth night of Hanukkah. I believe, didn't Hanukkah start on Sunday night?
I can't even count. This is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Okay, so Wednesday. So it's fourth night. I think you're right. We should ask Facebook Live if anybody knows.
And Sam, we were going to be here. We told them we were going to be here for, we're at that point of the night. It's 9:00. The family that's still there at 9:00, you're kind of like, I kind of want you to leave. So we're here for the people who are like, I want people I want to talk to in my life right now. And I want to talk to Facebook Live. I want to talk to Devils fans. We did the family thing. We opened the presents. We had the turkey. We heard a couple conversations we didn't need to hear from family members who will remain unnamed. And now we're here to be with the people we want to be with, Sam. And I want to be with you.
You know what? This is our extended family, so to speak, the Devils fans. It's like an online extension of our family. It's like, sometimes I wonder, it's like, what's Stacey White doing? What's Cheryl Miller doing? What are they doing? I mean, are they having family
I want to know
drama?
what David Decker's doing. David Decker, what are you doing tonight?
Yeah. What are you doing tonight, David Decker? Are you selling some Toyotas to your family members? I don't know. If you need a Toyota, go to David Decker. He knows his stuff. I know Hardline Betty, I think, bought a Toyota from David Decker once. So great car salesman. But yeah, it's been, because really the holidays for me started like Friday, and then Saturday, and then Sunday, and then it's been a real blow off. And one of my favorite times of the year is actually between Christmas and New Year's Eve. That it's kind of like a lame duck session. Ending the year, just such a lame duck. Unless of course, you need to get some things done before the year is out. But usually it's like a lame duck session where you really just do nothing at all. So I'm looking forward to some relaxation, focusing on 2020 World Juniors as well. I want to see Kevin Bahl. I want to see Ty Smith, the progression of them. I want to see a turnaround. I want to see on the 27th, where I'll be down at PJ Ryan's for the pregame podcast. And I want to see more fans filing into the arena, because I've always said traditionally New Jersey Devils are a post-Christmas fan base, meaning the hardcore fans show up opening night throughout. And then right after Christmas, you start to see the crowds start to get bigger. More kids are involved, families, matinees, this and that. And February is always a big month of games scheduled in a short 28-day, or actually this upcoming year is a leap year. It's 29-day span.
Woo! Extra day.
Yeah. So,
Actually, looking at it, and I tweeted about this today. The Devils have the 5th hardest schedule coming up for the rest of the year. Now, take that for what it is. I mean, the Devils aren't going to make the playoffs anyway. Like, it just was never going to happen. It's too deep a hole. This isn't that Blues team. That Blues team from last year is always a Stanley Cup contender. Well, they were at least a Stanley Cup contender coming into the season. So I just don't see that happening. So maybe it's a good thing that they have this hard schedule because we get to see some really awesome players come into the Rock. The Connor McDavids and the Sidney Crosbys and the Alexander Ovechkins and all those players. We got a lot more games with those types of players in here. We get to see this team try to bounce back against the best of the best. And that's who I want to see Nikita Gusev grow against. That's who I want to see Jack Hughes grow against. That's who I want to see Nico Hischier trying to become the best player he can be against. It's those types of players that I want to see them play against because it does seem like they do get up for those types of games sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just get demolished. But you did mention World Juniors, and I just wanted to touch on that real quick, is that I'm excited to see Akira Schmid. I want to see if this kid's got a little something going. This is his last year he can play in World Juniors, so this is probably the last year we'll see him play where he could still dominate for a while. And I want to see if he can do that for Team Switzerland. The Devils' goaltender position is TBD for the next how many years, and I want to see if this kid has something there. Maybe is he somebody who can be a 1A, 1B in the next couple of years with Blackwood? Or is he somebody, do the Devils need to figure something else out?
What's the skinny on him? Is he a big goaltender? I didn't look up his.
I think he's big. I'm pretty sure he's quite big. I don't think he's Blackwood big because Blackwood's a big dude, but he is 6'5", 205.
So there's a recurring theme with Ray Shero right now.
Get guys who are so big that they just block the net on their own.
You know what? It's not a bad idea. I think it was Charles Wong, the late Charles Wong, the Islanders owner. I think at one time he was jokingly, but half jokingly, suggesting just signing a sumo wrestler and put him in net. Based on that logic. But obviously that didn't happen. Instead, that would
take the butterfly goalie to another level.
Oh yeah. I would call it the marshmallow goalie.
But Schmidt's having kind of a rough year right now. He's got an .891 save percentage in the USHL. So yeah, he had a really good season last year. I don't know what's going on. He's only played 6 games, so maybe he got hurt. I haven't followed his progression this year, but it looks like he's taken a pretty large downturn. So this is an important tournament for him. We'll see. He's 19, so he's got time. But oof.
Yeah. So let's get back. Let's rewind a little bit, Nick. Big win for the Devils on the 23rd, on the eve of Christmas Eve. A lot of scoring droughts, slumps, just finally ended. You had Hayden, you had Hughes ending, Severson ending, PK ending, this and that. Look, if a miracle were to happen, if this team actually makes the playoffs, just based on the standings right now and the strength of schedule, they will win the cup because it's nearly impossible to catch up right now. Now, we were talking about this on the Festivus podcast, Nick, on Monday. What's your assessment on the 2020 NHL draft? Is this a really deep draft? Because that's what the guys were saying. Wanted to see your assessment, what you've heard about 2020, because the Devils have 2 first-rounders, and one of them should be pretty high.
I was kind of going over this in my head over the past week, and I didn't have it in my head for the last podcast for when we did the Taylor Hall trade. But I think one thing that we probably haven't taken into account into the return of the Taylor Hall trade is that I'm pretty sure Ray Shero made it a necessity that a first-round pick with very few holdovers, very few issues was part of it. And I think a lot of teams were worried about not putting that lottery protection on it just because of this draft. Now, this draft doesn't have a Connor McDavid in it. It doesn't have a Jack Eichel in it, I don't think. I don't think Lafreniere is that type of player. But Lafreniere and Byfield are two awesome players. So I think that they're great players if we get one of those top 2 picks. And then it's deep. I think top 15, you're getting much better players than you get in most top 15s. My issue with it is that I haven't seen a defenseman that I think is there yet. I think the past 3 drafts have had better defensemen, but I have to really dive deep in that. So I wouldn't say quote me on that yet. I think there's really top-level offensive talent here. Obviously, the Devils need defensive talent, especially in the prospect ranks. So I have to really do a deep dive. And I'm going to do that over the next couple of weeks, obviously, because, y'all aren't going to read much about what we're doing on the ice because it's pretty bad. But I am going to look into that. I'm going to look into the coaches, and I'm going to look into, obviously deadline deals to see what we could kind of look forward to and how we could kind of fix this defense. And I don't know if this draft is going to be the place to do it.
Yeah, and just remember, you're filling 6 slots versus 12, and right now, if I was a little surprised to see, just he's quietly done it, but now that Taylor Hall has been traded and the on NHL.com, the team stats have been reset. Gusev seems to have a quiet year in putting up some points. Very quiet. But I think he's second in the team on assists, if I'm not mistaken. I got to go back and reread that. But he's showing up in the top 3 and some of the overall scoring. But you know what? Look, the Devils, most likely they're going to have at least a top 10 pick. They can't be, but at the same time, 2 picks in the first round. I think they have some more assets to sell. Like, what could you get for Sammy Vatanen? On trade deadline.
My issue is, I think in past years you could get a first round pick. I don't think people are giving up first round picks in this draft. I think that's why you got what you got from Taylor Hall. So I'm worried. I think I might rather just re-sign Sammy Vatanen. So tell me what you think about this, Sam. What do you think about re-signing Vatanen to a 4-year deal and then trading Severson?
I would do it.
Severson's younger. He has term. He has a good contract. I think a team like Toronto would be interested. I think a team like Calgary, well, maybe not Calgary. I think a team like I'm just going through in my head real quick. I definitely think Toronto would be interested if you took some salary back. I think a team like Boston would be interested. I think that's a guy who they could use, although that John Moore contract shows them that ex-Devils don't really work out for them. I think a team like Florida would be interested. I got to look at their cap situation and see what we'd have to take back for that to work out, because I'm trying to remember. I know the Luongo thing hurt Vancouver, but I don't remember how bad it hurt Florida. There's a couple other teams, and there's, Sam, I'm trying to figure out how much of a fire sale this team is going to have, because you hear the rumors that players like Kyle Palmieri are available, and that tells you that it's like sell everything that's not screwed to the Prudential Center. But then Ray Shero comes out and says this isn't a rebuild. So we have to figure some things out. And I'm looking at this, and you're not going to like this, Sam. I'm looking at Mike Morial's top 10 rankings for this year's draft, right? So 8 of the 10 are forwards. One's a Russian goalie. And then the other one, the one defenseman, he's ranked 8th. Jamie Drysdale currently plays for Erie of the OHL. He's 5'11", 175. So it sounds like it's a Will Butcher type to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not something we have. Those guys who are smaller and younger. We have Smith and Butcher. Butcher signed for a couple of years. Butcher has term. And then we got, if we re-sign Vatanen, he's another guy, smaller, could move the puck, would have term. And you got Ty Smith coming in, smaller, has a lot of he's going to have term because we have him on the entry-level deal, and we have a couple of years before we even have to re-sign him for the first time. That's not a player I want, especially if we're going to have a top 3 pick. And I feel like he's going to move up draft boards solely because he's a defenseman. But I'm looking at that Arizona pick, and a player that I would like is Jake Sanderson. He's a USA defenseman. He's really good. He's 6'1", 186. He still has some meat to put on those bones. But he's a guy, he's a player that I think could develop, and as he grows, as he gains a little bit more weight. And when I look at these defensemen, Damon Hunt's another guy that I've liked, but he's ranked 29th. So if the Devils could somehow swindle maybe a first-round pick from somebody like a Boston or something like that, he's the guy that they should look into. I don't know if they can, but say if they do trade Kyle Palmieri, if Palmieri is on the table and a team like Boston is going to want him, you don't trade Palmieri unless the first-round pick's going the other way. You develop this guy into a really good scorer, and you gave up a second and something else. I don't remember if a second and a fourth or a second and a third back when you got him. How this many years later with still term on a really good contract, when he showed he could be a 30-goal scorer and a really good shot, how are you going to get less than what you gave up for him in the first place when he was an unproven player? So, if they do get a first for a Palmieri, I think that's a guy that Damon Hunt, Moose Jaw, he's a guy that they should look into too. So those are the defensemen I'm looking at. But again, it's not a great draft for defensemen. It's a great draft for forwards. So, you could get a guy. I think that guy, whoever they take in that first pick, whether anywhere between 1 through 5, I think he's in the NHL next year because there's just a lot of really good players there. But with that Arizona pick, I think you're going to get a lot of value. And I think if you could pick a defenseman with that pick, I think that's where you're going to be happy with the value you get.
Yeah, I like the fact that they have 2 first-rounders. They can take risks on the later of the first round with the defenseman. But I also wonder as well, Nick, that with this draft, if they can get more offensive talent there, they'll be very top heavy. I just think that their defense, a lot of it is coaching. In the past with Hines, I think Nasreddine has got this unit more consistent right now. They only gave up a goal last game. Now the whole Columbus thing was just a disaster, but that's coming on the second half of the back-to-back. Still no excuse. Washington Capitals, they're so damn good. Those things are going to happen. But, right now I'm thinking, I don't think Ray Shero is going to be pushing the nuclear button and blowing it up that bad. I think he's got a nice core nucleus down the middle right now. What he has a goaltender right now, Mackenzie Blackwood, that's showing signs that he's a legitimate starter in the NHL. Plus, he's got size. On defense, I don't know if PK Subban's contract and if he's movable that easily or getting something in return. But then again, he didn't really give up the house to get him. And with Severson, he's starting to show some feistiness, which I like. Vatanen, again, he's got to get a good feel if these guys are willing to re-sign after this season. I think it's kind of like a Taylor Hall situation. If Vatanen doesn't show, I don't know, any interest in signing, you trade him. You get as much as we can for him. I think that's what it's going to be based on. I cannot see Ray Shero blowing it up where he's selling every single veteran asset and building towards the future, because that will make this rebuild almost an 8-year to 10-year plan. And I don't think the fan base is patient enough. I know Ray is probably there for a while, and his job security, believe it or not, is pretty secure. But I don't think he's panicking right now, and sell the entire, sell the entire team just to get all these young prospects. But at the same time, I don't think they're that far off. I think it was just a matter of coaching, because I like what Nasruddin has done so far.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think that's recency bias? Because when you did the last podcast, or not the last one, when you did the one on Sunday night, they're coming off 2 terrible losses, one to Washington and I forgot the one before, but they were coming off 2 terrible losses where they looked like trash. You don't think that saying Nasruddin's done a good job is just...
I thought Washington, the Devils were in it till the end, right? But I mean, Columbus, that was, again,
Columbus,
yeah, the BJs, I don't know what happened there. The only thing I can think of, and again, it's not really an excuse, is they're coming off, the game before, and maybe they didn't have their legs under them. They had no life again. This is the lifeless Devils. And then they came back, go to Chicago. They kicked their asses, essentially, by a big margin. And they owned that second period. But you see, I think there are several problems with this team. Shero has alluded that the word execution. I've always said it was a lack of focus. Nasruddin, I think, has a good understanding what's going on. It's a work in progress. I just think that we should wait about a month, see how they do to the end of January. When is the trade deadline this year?
It's usually the last week of February. I'll double check the actual date.
Yeah. So in that case, I think right now it's all about evaluating and see who's part of the plan of the future.
It's the 24th of February.
Yeah, so there is still some time, but I like to see more consistency out of the defense, but I also like to see them play a full 60 minutes. I mean, against Washington, they kept on clawing, but again, Washington in the end, just ran off with the game. But, Columbus, but I like how they responded back against the Blackhawks. Now it's after Christmas. The second season really starts with Toronto Maple Leafs at the Rock, and let's see what happens. I mean, in the next month, I don't think I don't think the Devils were that far off. I mean, just remember, just a few months ago, this team was looking great on paper, but they have to address a lot of these issues. Just the psychological impact is what Bryce Salvador was saying, if you remember, of being up 4-0 on opening night, and then the total collapse, and then the next game in Buffalo was a stinker itself, and they didn't get their first win to the Rangers on October 17th, and it just kept on, just lack of consistency. I just don't think Shero should blow up the team just yet, entirely. I just don't think it's necessary.
Do you want to know what I think is going to happen?
What?
I mean, I guess that's why I'm here, right? That's why I'm here to tell you what I think is going to happen. I think that Ray Shero is going to make a lot of this isn't working, let's make the moves to make the moves. I think you can see a Pavel Zacha getting moved. I think you can see I'm trying to think of these players that have not lived up. I think you could see a Jesper Bratt getting moved. I think you can see a lot of players of that ilk, players who have been good and they're young, and maybe they're a little one-dimensional. Bratt's a little one-dimensional. Zaka is very one-dimensional. I don't think those are the players that he's going to want to go with. So I think that having these young assets and turning them into other young assets, Zaka, if Zaka plays like this for the rest of his career, he's never going to have more value than he does right now. That's absolutely true. He could break out, and that's why he has value. And I mean, at the end of the day, Jesper Bratt's a 6th-round pick that has been phenomenal for a 6th-round pick. But I mean, we've gone into the season 2 years in a row now waiting for him to have top 6 production. He just hasn't. I like Bratt. I hope Bratt is part of the future. But when I really look at it, Jesper Boquist is a more skilled player. I think Jesper Boquist has a higher upside and can be a better player. I think Gusev has more skill than Bratt and has shown that. And I know Gusev is kind of apples to oranges because he's a lot older and he's kind of a veteran player. But, I think that, and Miles Wood's another guy that I think is on the block. I think that Will Butcher might be another guy that they could listen to. I think that these are players that Ray Shero is going to. He's not going to hang up the phone if San Jose calls and says, "What you got, Will Butcher?" I don't think he's going to hang up the phone. If you ask for Nico and if you ask for Hughes, I think that Ray knows that he can't trade those 2 players. I think if you ask for Blackwood, I think he's going to hang up on you because there's no other option right now. If you ask for Smith, I think that's another player he's not even going to listen to because the Devils just don't have the defense, the young defenseman to make that work and to trade him for pretty much anything. Anyone else, I think he's listening. And I think people are going to call because the Devils have talent. They are the most talented bad team in the league. Look at Los Angeles compared to the Devils' talent. Look at Detroit compared to the Devils' talent. Look at Ottawa compared to the Devils' talent. There was a coaching issue. They're working on fixing that. There was, a chemistry issue. I'm starting to think that the Taylor Hall thing meant a little bit more to them than they let on. I think it was because they liked Taylor Hall so much and the fact that he was just going to leave. I think that weighed on the locker room. But you look at these other teams, Anaheim, I think the Devils might have a little bit more. They're comparable with Anaheim. And then Chicago, the players that Chicago were going to give up are nowhere near the talent that the Devils have the ability to give up. The one player in Chicago that I think that they have that's worthy that they might trade is Brandon Saad. They're not going to trade DeBrincat. They're not going to trade Taze and Kane. So who else on that team do you want? Maybe Duncan Keith, but they're not going to trade him. Maybe they would trade him. I don't know. Maybe they just want to get that contract out. But, the team that has the most assets to sell is the Devils. And you have to ask yourself, how many deals does it take for them to be blowing it up? If I told you, Sam, that they traded away Jesper Bratt, Pavel Zacha, Will Butcher, and Wayne Simmons, right? I told you that was the players that left on deadline day. Would you tell me that they're going to go into another rebuild because they lost those players?
No. I mean, right now they got the core nucleus. Before Nico, they had nobody. They didn't really have. They didn't really have to build the team around. I mean, I'm just going by the Pittsburgh Penguins model. You know, their first pick was Marc-Andre Fleury back in 2003, and then the controversy of how the Penguins got the first overall pick Sidney Crosby, and then Malkin. You know, and right now they have Blackwood, Hughes, and Nico. And Nico right now is showing a lot of leadership. I can't wait to see what he's going to be like in 3 years. You know, I think he's got a big shot to be the captain of the team. You know, he shows up and plays 100% every night, even when the team is down 6-0. There's Nico still going at it and playing as if the score was 0-0. So, if they trade Nico Hughes, which they won't, I mean, I can't even fathom. It would take Connor McDavid to come back if you trade both. And again, it's not going to happen. No way Edmonton would be that stupid. But then again, you never know. You never know with Edmonton. But that's a different GM now. You know, so
yeah,
we can't hope for that. And I think they learned their lesson as well. But you know, right now, I think what I'm going to be looking for is more consistency. Blake Coleman has also stepped up his game a little bit. And I think the one thing I think the Devils have yet, there's two things that I see they're improving on. Their speed. They're making better use of their speed right now. And in terms of the team game, if you remember Ray Sherr's quote that we can't even, you know, make a 5-foot pass to each other. One of the things, because looking at some film from the first 10, 12 games of the season and the last 3 to 5 games when Nasruddin took over, one of the things I noticed is they have better puck control right now than they did in the first 10, 15 games of the season. I mean, especially Taylor Hall. I mean, they would just cough up the puck. It's like they can't even make a pass. They literally couldn't even make a pass. Even if the guy was a foot away, they screw it up. And right now, I'm thinking that I give Nasruddin some time. Again, is he the coach of the future? That's to be determined. Probably not. There's definitely other candidates out there. But let Nasruddin try to figure this one out. Because so far, I think they're on the right track. It's just, it's going to give us time. The season's pretty much lost. Let him figure it out. Because honestly, I think it was just the fundamentals that was not there. And I don't think John Hines did a great job in reinforcing those fundamentals. I think he's a player's coach. I think they respected him, but I think the message and the voice was not strong enough to get them to execute, you know. And it's also with the accountability, and also, I mean, there's some coaching strategies that I didn't understand, like, you know, hey, this line is doing pretty well. Okay, we're going to change it up. Well, you can't build chemistry that way. So maybe John Hines is more of a developmental coach than an NHL coach. And it's not saying that John Hines is not a great coach. I think he's obviously a very good coach. As a matter of fact, he was, you know, early on when he first named head coach, he was highly recommended and endorsed by Jay Pandolfo, his former teammate. Now, I know that, you know, they're probably friends and all, but still, I mean, I would take Jay Pandolfo's endorsement because, you know, I'm thinking that this coach would get them fundamentally playing well. I just think that, you know, Hines didn't do a great job this season, and it cost him his job.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things cost him his job. I just think there was a lot of problems with what was going on. I think that we thought that this team would build chemistry faster than it did. I think that, there was language barriers that Nikita Gusev had to go past. There was, and there was a very interesting thing that I listened to on the 31 Thoughts podcast, and I kind of was late to this one because it was a Taylor Hall trade podcast. But Elliot Friedman, everybody was talking about, Wayne Simmons wants to stick around from that. Everybody was talking about a couple other things from that when it's tied to the Devils. Do you know what the one thing I heard that really made me think is? He talked about PK. He talked about the struggles of PK, and he said, "Man, PK is a power lifter. I wonder if anybody's going to tell him to stop. I wonder if anybody's going to tell him to change his workout routine because he is slow, and more importantly, he's unagile. He hit the gym hard, and he went for size. And I don't know this, so maybe he did it for another reason, but I think he went for size to protect his back. Obviously, if you build more Brussels around that back, it's not going to hurt as much. But I tell you, Sam, he lost a lot by doing that, and you could tell when Elliot said that.
I've been saying that for the last month. But I was just basing on those Instagram videos because
it just seems like he got too big. You see that a lot.
Yeah,
you see you see it in basketball a lot. These basketball players get obsessed with strength and the weight room and the gym and these workout routines and these new fitness things to make you bigger, faster. And they all do these things. And then when they do them, they get too big. And then when they're too big, they lose a lot of what got them there in the first place. So I feel like if you just have a guy work with PK in a happy medium, give him a workout that's going to protect his back, but at the same time, it's not going to make him just like Arnold Schwarzenegger out there trying to go on skates. Like you need a guy who.
In today's game, you need to have if you want to go even further in depth, I've said this before. I forget which podcast I said it on. That back in high school, I used to follow Joe Sakic's routine, and I think it was based on. This is going way back. The Vancouver Canucks trainer, and one of the things that Sakic said was when he came into the league, that he's a young, small frame kid, and he bulked up. But when he bulked up, he realized that he slowed down quite a bit and didn't have that flexibility, which was a big part of his game. Is agile, and and the training went from powerlifting to more cardio, and Trevor Linden is the same thing as well. And based on what I'm seeing, what PK is doing, it's great on Instagram, but does it translate, on ice? Hockey is a game that's you're multitasking. I mean, there's so many different things you're doing at once. If you look at what Tom Brady has done for himself, as a quarterback. Now, I know it's a different sport, but he needs to train properly towards his sport. And on defense, you have to be agile. You have to be strong. You look at what Scott Stevens did. I mean, that guy was strong as a rock, but you know what? He can, even at age 40, he could still keep up with some of the best players. Now, granted, the game has changed since then, but I would agree with you, Nick, that PK, if he's really trying to protect his back, there's got to be a better way, around that. But again, he's getting beaten so badly at times that I don't know. Plus, age is a factor too. I mean, he's starting to get a little bit older, but he's still in his prime. So, but yeah, didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but I've noticed that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem. It wasn't a problem to start. I was kind of given the benefit of the doubt to try to figure out who his partner is going to be and figure out how he's going to play on this offense and figure out how he's going to play on this defense. But it just seems like he's taken a little off that shot because of the back. And it feels, and that's hurting him offensively. And that's why he missed the net a lot. Like, look at that. He finally hit the net and he scored so easily in that game against Chicago. And I need to look at the stat to see how many of his shots missed the net entirely, because I feel like it's going to be a lot, and it's going to be a much bigger percentage than he's missed in previous years. And on the defensive side, it's almost like he gets stuck in quicksand. Like, he's like, I don't know. He knows that if he makes one move, he's not going to be able to get back where he is. So he just stays in position, and then people get around him, or somebody goes around the net, and like, he just needs to get that agility and then trust that agility again. So it's going to be a two-step process, and it's going to take a little while.
Yeah. You know what? I just want to see improvement at this point, with this current team. I hope that they can get some nice assets back in before the trade deadline. I like to see. I don't want to see any kind of tanking. I don't want to see any of that. I want to see a winning culture, and I want to see team camaraderie, and I want to see them being more focused and getting back down to basics. Back to where they should be, because I think that will solve a lot of the problems. But the problem is so great that I think Matt Junio wrote in the Facebook Live. He says that let's see here. Something about Naz. He's just, take it one error at a time to fix, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that there's change that's needed. There's change that's still needed. I think that we feel good because we went into the break with 7 goals and the Devils look good. But I got to remind you that we scored 8 against Chicago last year. We scored 7 against Chicago the year before. Something about Chicago that just, they don't play well against us sometimes. It's like that one game a year that they just kind of let it go. I don't know if they played down to us or what the case is, or that they just have bad goalies sometimes. Although Leonard's playing really well. I kind of made a joke that Robin Leonard is trying out for the Devils next season because he's a free agent. I think he'd be a really good backup for us. But there's a lot of changes that are needed, Sam.
Yeah. A lot of changes. And of course, we'll be following along. State of the Fan Address, Let's Go Devils podcast. We'll report. We'll be following along. And
but let me say one thing, Sam, because PK gets a lot of hate. And I didn't want to pile on. I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was interesting that Elliot brought it up. But I don't want to trade PK. I think that's a terrible idea. You do not, first of all, you do not bring in a star, bring all the pomp and circumstance that you did, and then trade him because it doesn't work out for a couple months. You got to give this guy a year and a half before you give up on him. Do not trade PK. And he's already bringing his charity work to New Jersey. He's doing all the right things. He's giving this team a little bit of a personality, and he's trying. And I understand that it's hard to be the personality on a team when you're playing not well. But, you can't give up on this guy like that. You can't put him on the trade block like that. Like, that just looks so bad. That's going to look so bad to other players you're going to try to sign. That's going to look so bad to the rest of the league. Like, just, you can't do that.
I would agree. But PKs need to find his game, sooner rather than later. Otherwise, it's just it's not going to be fun for anybody, including the fans.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, should we play the game? I think we should play the game.
Let's play the game. This game's going to be interesting because I'm going to warn you, Sam. I am terrible at trivia. I can't remember things. It's pretty bad. So you're probably going to whoop on me. But, I think we found an interesting way for us to both do this and neither of us cheat.
Okay.
So basically, we found a trivia site that's focused on the New Jersey Devils. I gave you one page, and I am going to take another page, and we're gonna see who can. How many should we say? 5 questions apiece.
Okay. Yep.
And
Just trying to-
I hope I
Sorry.
get one of them correct.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull it up on my phone right now. So who goes first on this game on Christmas
I feel
Day?
like I'm the home team because it's the state of the fan address. I think that I'm the home team here. I think you have to go first.
Oh, I have to go first. So are you going to read out the questions first? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'll read you the first question. So let me know when you're ready.
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. So my first question is, how many players on the team that won the first Stanley Cup in New Jersey in 1995 were players who had played games with the team during the 80s?
Wow. All right, let's see. You've got John McLean, Bruce Driver, Ken Danico. So that's 3. Stefan Richer, no, he came in the 90s. Same with Claude Lemieux. Oh, geez. Jim Dowd was too young. Brian Ralston was too young. He didn't play in the 80s. I'm trying to think. I'll say 5.
5 is correct.
I was just guessing. I just don't know who the other 2, though, on top of my head.
It's Chris Terreri.
Terreri played in the
And
80s?
he played on the team. He left and he came back.
Okay.
And then Tommy Albeline. Did you say him?
That's it.
No, right?
No, I did not.
Yeah,
No. I was trying. I knew it was. I thought it was Chris McAlpine. I forgot. But it just didn't ring a bell. But so I guessed. That was totally guessing.
Mm.
Oh,
Well, I'm in bad shape already.
well, hold on a sec. I got to play the soundbite.
Oh,
That's
jeez.
one check in my column. All right, let me try to pull this up because right now it just my phone is freezing. So hold on one sec here. So I'm on the page 2, right? Okay, got
Page
it.
2.
All right. I'll give you a hard one. You want me to give you a hard one? I feel bad that I got that one.
I'm going to get them all wrong, so it's fine.
Here, you should know this one. The 2000 owners of the New Jersey Devils was who? 2000.
Yeah, I always say his name wrong. Is it it's Vanderbeek. 2000? Or no,
Who were the owners in the year 2000?
Yeah, I forgot when Vanderbeek was
actually,
team. So
to tell you the truth, I think the site has it wrong, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to give you another question because I don't think it's fair because it says Yankee Nets, but I thought McMullen sold it later in 2000.
now I know what this was. So yeah, the Yankees owned the Devils for like a hot minute, and I'm trying to remember the story behind it. But
it was
I guess they got the ranks.
Yeah, Ray Chambers. All them. I guess
I read a whole story on this, and I forgot that it was that year. But it was.
I got to give you another question because I mean, I can't believe we have to fact check some of this because it doesn't make sense. But. Okay, so you're not gonna get this one. So let me try. All right, here we go. Which of these 2 Devils were winners of the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year? Niedermeyer and Elias, Elias and Gomez, Brodeur and Niedermeyer, Brodeur and Gomez.
Wait, say that question again. Which two players have won the Calder Trophy?
Yep.
It's Brodeur and Gomez.
Yeah, you got it. All right, so now we're 1-1 tie. I had to be fair there because that Yankee Nets one, I wasn't really sure, about that one because I think McMullen still owned the team in 2000, but he sold it. But which part of 2000, right? So, okay.
And it looks like they negotiated through 2000. This story is one of the most interesting stories about the Devils because apparently they made this negotiation with thoughts of the Yes Network eventually airing the Devils.
Yep.
And yeah, maybe I'll write about that because that's it's downtime in Devils land. So
I think what happened with that story, just to reiterate, was I think Steinbrenner was pissed at Lou because the Devils and Nets were losing money, but especially the Devils. And finally, when you have a bunch of investors from New York that think they know better, he cut the funds, at some point, and that's where that whole thing kind of blew up. Plus, moving the arena was an issue. Moving it to Newark, and eventually Vanderbeek took over, and he took over. You got to give him credit for taking over that, and he was just barely able to get them to Newark before the housing bubble blew, and then he had many large balloon payments to make, which he couldn't make, and that's why the team was bankrupt practically before the Harris Blitzer came in. Anyway,
I completely I'm so terrible with front office stuff. Obviously, Lou had the team for almost 30 years, but the owners, I was like, I know this is wrong. I know Vanderbeek didn't have it then, but I just couldn't remember. And then that Yankees thing was such a mess. But anyway, so let's move on to your question. So Martin Brodeur is one of a handful of goalies that have scored a goal. But he became the first goaltender in NHL history to score a game-winning goal. Which team did he score that goal against?
You're going to hate me because I was actually at that game against the Flyers when they put it in on their own net. Yeah, I was actually there. And
that was one of the iconic moments. So I figured you'd probably know that. And it was around a time, like 2000 is kind of your wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's when I started.
So I kind of figured. Yeah, I figured you were going to know that one.
I was actually there. It was my friend was like, "Nah, that's not going to count." I was like, "How is it not going to count?" Because what happened was, if you remember correctly, it was the Devils got a penalty, so the extra man came in, and then for whatever reason, the Flyers' defense were just passing it to each other, and the guy, I guess, slipped and put it on his own net. It wasn't even that crazy, and Brodeur happened to be the last to touch it. But then again, there were replays by ESPN said I'm not so sure about it, but Brodeur got credited for the goal, but which turned out to be the game-winning goal.
And I think isn't that the same way he scored against Carolina too? He scored that when he was later in his career, he scored a goal like that where Carolina just kind of ran into each other. The goal went in, and Brodeur was the last one to touch it. I think that's how he scored another goal in his career, but.
Yeah,
neither here nor there.
I heard his car alarm went off that game too.
That's funny.
Yeah, I know. I'm kidding.
All right, I'm ready for my next question.
Let's see here. All right, next question. This is your second question. That's a dumb question. Some of these questions are dumb. How about this one? Who scored the Stanley Cup? Some of these questions are dumb. Who scored the Stanley Cup winning goal for the Devils in 1995?
I know this, but I can't. His name's escaping me. The one that's coming in, I don't think it's right. But I'm going to go with Richer.
No, Neil Broughton.
Yeah.
Neil Braun.
I
Now,
knew
Neil
it,
Braun,
and I was like, this isn't the right name, and I can't. It just the name just couldn't. Okay.
So Neil
If I
Braun.
saw the roster, I could have told you that, but I just top of my head, I couldn't remember his name.
I think Neil Braun may be the only American to win a Stanley Cup, the national championship, and an Olympic gold in his career. I think he's the only one.
I think he was the first American to get a Stanley Cup winning goal, wasn't he?
It says it says here Neil Braun became one of the few American-born players to score a cup goal. One of the few. Maybe at the time he was the first. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
All right, let's. A lot of these are very specific questions that nobody should get, but I'm trying to find one that's not too easy and not too hard.
Well, I'm up 2-1 right now.
Yeah. What does even tell which Scott? Or yeah, there's okay. So yeah, this is back in your wheelhouse. So thinking that you can get this one. One of the more famous Devils regular season games is the night that they won 9-0 against the Pittsburgh Penguins on October 20th, 2000. Two Devils that night scored 4 goals each.
You're going to hate me.
Can you name those two Devils? Yeah, I know you know this.
Because
you were at that game too?
I was at Penn State, and I went to the Igloo. It was John Madden, and I believe it was Randy McKay.
Yeah, you're right. I'm trying to find questions that like. All right, I think I got one more that could work. It's like one of them's like, what's Glenn Resch's nickname? Like, come on, that's a stupid question. Like, or like, who were the Devils before they were the Devils? It's Colorado Rockies. I'm trying to pick questions that aren't crazy easy, but then there's some that are like, who is Scott's roommates in the 2000 season?
Is that a real question?
Yeah, Scott Gomez. I guess they mean Scott Gomez. Who was Scott Gomez's roommates in the 2000 season?
I'm going to guess Ken Danico.
No, it was Arnott and Pandolfo, but that doesn't count. That's not. Okay. But all right, ask me a question.
Ask you a question. Okay, this is semi-hard. What Devils player was traded to San Jose Sharks and then signed with the New York Rangers?
John McClain.
Yep, you got that right.
All right.
Nice. So it's I'm up 3-2 at this point.
Yeah, I think so. All right.
Okay.
Go back to a number question. Before the lockout that canceled the 2004-2005 season, how many captains did the Devils have in their team history? And I'm looking at this just so we're on the same page. Scott Niedermayer is not on here. So I'm assuming even though he wore the C that last year when Stevens was out with a concussion, they did not count him. So I'm going to give you that clue. Well, I guess it's just a caveat.
How many captains in team history? Let's see. McLean was one. Don Lever was one, right? So Bruce Driver was one when he was filling in for John McLean when he blew out his knee. Scott Stevens was one, right? So that's 4. After Scott Stevens, well, then it's Niedermayer, but that doesn't count. Or no, was it Don Lever or Mel Bridgman? I don't remember. But then again, I don't know anything about beyond 2000, or before 2000. Then there was Langenbrunner, then Andy Green, Bryce Salvador. I would say 9.
No, we're only before the lockout. I'm not counting Salvador Green.
Oh, before the lockout, before 2004, because there's been many.
Yeah, that lockout. The one that took out the season. The 2004-05 lockout.
All right, so Stevens, Driver, McLean. 5.
You got it right again. You
I'm
have
guessing.
the wrong captains, but
Yeah,
you got the number right. John McClane was never Devils captain.
Never?
Kirk Muller was captain until 91.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Driver
Oh,
took it from 91 to 92, and then Stevens was 92 to 2004.
wait, was Kirk Muller on the 91-92 team?
No, he got traded.
You know what? I think John McLean was slated to be captain, but he blew out his knee. That's what I was
Maybe.
probably thinking.
And then Bruce Driver beat, but he never wore the C.
Gotcha.
Or he might have worn it for he was never official captain, just like Niedermeyer was never official captain. And then you had Lever and Bridgman were both captains. So Lever was captain from 82 to 84, and then Bridgman from 84 to 87.
Oh, so I wasn't that far off.
No, you just had McLean completely wrong.
Yeah, but I could have sworn he was. You know what? We'll have to get him on the podcast or something. But he asked, were you anointed? Because I remember Bruce Driver came in because of that.
Anyway, my next question.
Oh, so I'm up 4-2. So this is sudden death for you.
Yeah, well, I'm still going to ask you your fifth question.
Okay. Let's see.
I can't believe you just guessed two numbers and just got them right. God darn it.
Yeah, and I'm counting with my fingers on air too. So if you go back to the replay, I wasn't Googling.
Oh no, I don't think you were. I think you just have a horseshoe up your you know what.
All right, I'll give you an empty netter. If you screw this one up, I'll never talk to you again. Who was the captain of the New Jersey Devils in 2003?
Scott Stevens.
I should have given you.
Question?
Yeah, I should have. Yeah, it is. Here, I'll show you. It's right. It's right here.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I should have given you a multiple choice. A, Jeff Friesen. B, Turner Stevenson. C, Scott Stevens. Or D, all the above. All right, fire one away.
I'm trying to find one that's not. I have four.
John B, if you can answer this question right, because John B, I'll let you win the game if you can answer this. How about who was the one Devil that got the other goal of that 9-0 win in Pittsburgh in 2000?
See, I could, Sam, I could be a jerk and ask you which soap opera Scott Gomez made a cameo appearance in. I'm not going to ask you.
Oh shoot! It was a General Hospital or One Life to Live, or was it? Oh, crap! I don't remember.
You're just naming all of them. All right.
No, wasn't Days of Our Lives.
No, Joey Tribbiani was on that one. All right. There's two here. One's incredibly easy. One's incredibly hard. So I'm going to ask you the incredibly hard one, and then I'm going to see if you can get it right. And then if you can't, I will give you a clue that'll probably help you get it right. But
okay.
So the Devils, I'm just going to give you the whole question with a clue. And you're probably going to get it right, but it's fine. Well, maybe not. I don't know. So who scored the last goal before the last goal for the Devils before the NHL went on lockout? Actually, I got to double check this now because this is terrible podcasting. I'm just because this isn't part of the question, but this makes the question better. So I just want to make sure that.
Do you want me to play some Jeopardy music as we're doing this? Sometimes that helps.
No, it's okay. All right, no, I got it now. Okay, so who scored the last goal for the Devils before the lockout, which ended up being his last goal as a Devil?
Oh, Zach Parise?
No,
I was
Scott
at that
Niedermeyer.
game. Was it not Niedermeyer?
Niedermeyer scored the last goal for the Devils in the 04 season.
But
And
what
then
about Parisi? What about Parisi?
Did he score the last? Was he the one who scored the one in the 6-1 game?
Was it 6-1?
That was the game where they had the major. I don't remember. I turned that game off.
You know what? I think you're right. Crap, because I thought they got shut out. You know why I thought they got shut out in that game 6? Because I turned it off.
Oh, that's what I did. I turned it off, but I always do that. I turn it off and I go back and I watch the highlights just to kind of see, because it's the last game of the season.
Because I remember screaming at the TV that the refs missed the icing call, which led to that whole freaking debacle, the penalty.
Well, they missed the icing call. They also missed them shoving Steven Gianta's head into the boards.
Yeah, they missed a lot.
But anyway,
of stuff.
All right, I got one more question to try to tie this, and then we'll try to pick something for sudden death.
All right, I have to ask a question, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to live dangerous. I want to go to sudden death. I'll give you another freebie.
Oh boy.
John McLean scored one of the most important goals in team history with his overtime game winner on April 3rd, 1988, which sent the Devils to the playoffs for the first time in team history. Which team did they defeat that historic night 4-3? ?
In 88. Okay.
You got to know this one.
I do know this, but I'm second guessing myself because I've seen too many of these questions. Okay.
I'll give you one clue. I'll give you another. I think Darren Pang was in goal.
I want to say the Flyers, but I'm worried. Is it the Flyers?
Hold on a sec. Let me get the buzzer. No, it was the Blackhawks.
Oh. I was thinking of something different.
Were you
80s
Stardust?
is not my forte.
Were you Stardust?
What month was it?
It was April of 88, April 3rd.
So my mom was 6 months pregnant with me.
Oh, so you weren't Stardust. Okay.
I wasn't Star. I was existence or however, whatever. I was a group of cells that existed. But yeah, you win, Sam. I can see trivia to you.
Wrong one. Am I on a streak right now, winning?
You are streaking. You are Will Ferrell streaking right now. I probably could have just looked at. I probably should have just kept Facebook open and just use the crowd like they do on Price is Right. Steal the answers from them.
Oh, you want to know something about Price is Right? It's so fixed. It's not even funny.
Is it? What makes you say that?
Not so much fixed. It's they already know. Actually, the game itself is not fixed, but when they choose people in the audience, apparently they interview.
Oh, I figured they just
people. Yeah,
I have a friend who won $10,000 on the Price is Right.
Really?
Yeah, I watched the video of it happening at too. He said he blew all the money, but yeah, he won $10,000 on the Price is Right on. Was it Plinko?
I think it was Plinko. I love Plinko is my game-o. I gotta get.
I thought that they just interviewed everybody, or like a select, like at least most of them. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember that he won $10,000. He said it wasn't like he didn't know it was happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's all I know. But most of those things are fixed. Life, reality TV is just one big fix.
Well, Nick, it's been a joyous Christmas spending the last few hours of Christmas with you.
I'm surprised we didn't fight.
Hey, where's the beef?
But
I was ready for you to go off when I told you that the best defenseman in the draft was under 6 feet tall.
you know what? It's Christmas. I'm just kind of like, I mean, look, I'm thinking about the 27th right now. We're going to be at PJ Ryan's. Then let's go to L's podcast. Are we going on New Year's Day?
We got to figure that out.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
If we're going on New Year's Day, you're going to get phone call Nick.
You know what I should do? I should do a New Year's Eve bash. Everybody else. But our clock is going to be, probably on a 10-second delay.
Yeah, you got people texting people 10 seconds late. What are you doing, Sam? You're ruining lives.
Yeah, what are we going to drop? Drop a puck or something? Just go down. Happy New Year.
Can we drop a tank?
One day we should have a New Year's Eve party. The podcast itself, we should have a New Year's Eve party with just Devils fans. That would be kind of fun. I just don't know who would show up, but that would be kind of fun.
We got big plans in the future.
Yeah. I'm actually it was when you're calling your family Merry Christmas, this and that, I was telling them, hey, I'm going to be down in Florida for quote unquote business, but really down in the Sunrise and Tampa in mid March. We'll have to do something then. I know Winnie in the Facebook Live group, she's looking forward to it, asking what are we doing. I don't know. Should we just do it at a restaurant? Should we do it in the middle parking lot and have like a tweet up or something? I don't know. I don't know what we should do.
We have options. We got to see where this team is by that. We can, like you said, we could trade for Conor McGregor, like you said, or Connor McDavid. Oh man, just screw it. Trade for Conor McGregor. Right? Let's get McGregor out here. He can do the dance up and down the ice. He'll hit somebody. He's just up your alley, Sam.
Yeah.
Big personality and he hits people.
I'll tell you what, Shorts guy does look like him when he puts on his sunglasses and he puts on one of the Conor McGregor suits. He does look like him.
Quick plug, Sam, because I hear the music. I do have a best moments of the decade article coming out this week. And right now, you can see the 12 days of New Jersey Devils Christmas on pucksandpitchforks.com. Check that out. Check out the writing from the other writers. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. We got a World Juniors preview coming out tomorrow. Go to Pucks and Pitchforks. The holidays will not stop the content. Content is king.
Well, I'll be at PJ Ryan's on the 27th for Devils take on Toronto. Anyway, I'm just blanking out. It's been a long day. Thank you for joining our Christmas podcast, a Christmas podcast. Till next time, let's go Devils.